What is going on, YouTubers? Nicked Out Vapor back here for another product review for you today. And today we're going to be taking a look at this Pasito. It's made by Smoant, guys. It's an all-in-one kit, but it's a little bit different than all of the other all-in-one kits out there. So anyways, we're going to show you everything you need to know in the up-close and personal camera. Let's go ahead and dive down. Alrighty, guys, and on to what the kit contains. Inside of this package, I'm going to show this real quick because it gives a nice description of all the functionalities and everything that goes on with this pod system. So as you can see right here, it's 84 millimeters by 38 millimeters by 18. It is a space aluminum, and as you can see, there's 5 different power settings or wattage settings. You're going to have 10 watts, 13 watts, 16 watts, 20 watts, and 25 watts. So you're going to have a nice variation of different wattage ranges that you could choose from. It's going to come with a 0.6 mesh coil for your direct-to-lung, and it's also going to have a 1.4 nichrome 80 for your mouth-to-lung. They also have a RBA section that you could purchase separately if you wanted to do your own builds and own wicking. You're also going to have USB-C on here, and it is 1100 milliamps, so it charges up pretty quick, usually around an hour for me, give or take somewhere around there. You also got different protections on here as far as low wattage, low voltage, short circuit, 10-second overtime protection, and overheating. So anyways, on the back side of this, it also shows what the package contains. We'll do a freeze frame on that real quick, but I'll show you everything inside of the package itself. You're going to get a USB-C cable for charging. You will get a warranty card. You have to fill this out if you have any kind of problems. You'll get a little card here showing you your different coil options, 0.6 mesh or the 1.4 nichrome. And like I said before, they also offer a RBA section for this if you wanted to do so. You also get a QC card, which one thing that I thought was kind of standing out apart from the others is this is actually stamped onto this QC card, and it has a date. So Smoant is actually stamping every single one of these and putting it in their packages. So I think that that's a nice little touch. A lot of them are just printed on there anymore, and you can tell that each company just throws one inside of the package and doesn't really do any kind of quality check at all. Now, not saying that Smoant does any kind of quality check, but I guess it's just a nice little touch showing you the date that this was packaged. You will also get 2 different coils. You'll get a 1.4 nichrome 80 mouth-to-lung coil and a 0.6 mesh coil for your direct-to-lung. I can't really zoom in to get inside of these chambers. They're very, very tight, but you can kind of see the difference in the bore from the mouth-to-lung on the left to the direct-to-lung on the right. Alright guys, and here is the device itself. You're going to have Smoant branding at the top side, Pasito at the bottom. You're going to have your fire button and your wattage button. A USB-C port for charging. On the back side, nothing, no branding at all, and nothing on this side at all either. On the bottom side, it's going to say ant chip with some battery venting and discard information. And on the top side, that is your airflow control right there. It's just like a little knob that you get your finger on, and you can change the airflow on the device itself. So when you push it all the way towards the front side where the Smoant labeling is, that is going to be all the way closed off. You push it all the way to the back side, and that is going to be wide open. Big matching resin drip tip on top of here. I wish the drip tip would have been a little bit smaller, but we'll get into that later. Now if you take your hand and twist off on this beauty ring right here, this is actually going to be your fill port. So let's go ahead and take that off. You have quite a bit of room in there, and I have the RBA section sitting inside of there right now. The only thing I will say with the RBA section, it does kind of create a tight gap to actually fill this thing. So when you have the RBA in here, I would suggest taking it nice and slow and letting the liquid actually run down along the side of the RBA Don't try filling this thing too quick. With the other coils, I don't seem to notice that kind of a problem, but with the RBA being a little bit bigger inside of there, you definitely have to take your time when filling this. And another thing that I do want to state is the threads on this could have been a little bit better, but they're not too terribly bad. Just make sure you get them nice and straight before you go ahead and tighten this top cap down. There we go. That's about all I got to show you guys with the pod system itself. Your connection at the bottom, you're going to have a magnet on this side, dual connections down here at the bottom inside of the device itself with a magnet, and the magnet actually is pretty damn strong. It snaps in there really nice. And that is about it, guys. Let's go ahead and I will show you the RBA section. We'll do a build and wick session on it real quick, show you what needs to be done, and let's go ahead and dive into it. Alright guys, and I just wanted to show this real quick. This is going to be your pod outside of the device itself. For any of you newer vapors out there, it will come pre-installed with the 0.60 mesh, which at that point all you would have to do is just unscrew your top cap. And I don't have a coil in here right now, but just for an example, you would just put your juice down inside of there, let your juice sit for about 5 or 10 minutes, and let it suck up into that cotton. Then you would just simply replace your top cap and go about your day. Now if you were to want to replace the coil itself, all you have to do is take your finger, put it inside of this gold plated pin right here, and pull out on it like so. Now like I said, it will come pre-installed with a coil already in there, so you have to take that coil out just by simply unscrewing it from this section right here, and then you would just simply buy a new coil and then go ahead and screw the new coil down onto there. Once you have it screwed into there, then all you would simply do is just replace it back into the pod, making sure that these grooves are on each side of the pod like so, and make sure it's lined up with that chamber section, and just simply press in. It's just a press to fit. It doesn't have to screw in this gold plated part. The coil just screws into the gold plated 510, well not 510, but it's a connector down here on the bottom side. So that is how you would replace your coils if you are a newer vapor and are unsure of how to do it. Alrighty guys, so like I stated before in the video, you can purchase an RBA section for the Pasito all-in-one kit. This is what your RBA section will look like if you do intend to purchase it. You got your chamber section, nice conical design. Threads actually ain't too damn bad on the RBA section, a lot better than the top fill threading for filling the device itself. Onto the RBA section itself, you got a dual post design. Each lead will go into each one of those holes. Phillips head screws on the top side, airflow goes down through the center and out the bottom of your little connection right here. Wicking channels on each side, not too much to go over. We're going to go ahead and throw a build in it real quick, show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, and let's go ahead and dive into it. So one other thing that you will get with your RBA section is this device right here, this connection right here. And that is going to allow you to screw your RBA section down onto this connector here. And what that does is makes it a 510, so you can screw it onto any device and be able to fire it and make sure everything is working properly. So a nice little addition to the RBA section, if I don't say so myself. I am going to be using some of these Vandy Vape pre-made coils. These are their mouth to lung coils, something new that I've been trying. Says it's going to ohm out around a 0.99. So go ahead and do a freeze frame if you wanted to go ahead and purchase some of these. I have been using these. I'm down to my last one. So I am really digging these things. And for your coil itself, what you're going to have to do is bend your leads to fit into your build deck. So all you're going to want to do is take a set of pliers, come out a little bit off of the side of the coil, about like that, and then just make a 90-degree bend. Now once you make that bend, you might have to form it a little bit to make it like an L shape, but you're going to want to do that on both sides. Once you do that, you could snip your leads just a little bit, and then you'll be able to place it inside of your RBA section. All that I do is just, before I put it into the RBA section itself, just go with your snips, go level with the edge of the actual coil, snip your one lead, go to the edge of the other side, snip your other lead, and what you're going to want to do is take each one of your leads and place it inside of your top post here. Now you may disform the coil just a little bit, but you can straighten it back out once you get everything inside of there and screwed down. Once you get both your leads in there, all you're going to have to do is just go ahead and make sure it's centered and then tighten it down. Now once you tighten your leads down, just go ahead and check and make sure that your leads aren't sticking out too far to where they're going to hit the actual chamber section. Just go ahead and make sure that those are completely cut off on each side, which they aren't looking too bad. Now that you have your leads completely tightened up, you can go ahead and adjust your coil at this time. Make sure that it's centered, and you can make sure that it's off the bottom of the RBA section itself. You don't want anything touching the post like it is right now. Just go ahead and pull that over just a little bit. Alright, so you're going to want to make sure that your coil is burning evenly. Turn your wattage all the way down to about 10 watts. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see how she looks. So as you can see, that hot spot right there, what you're going to want to do is just take your tweezers or a flathead screwdriver and scrape that area where you got your hot spots. Look at that, instantly starting to glow better already. It's reading out at a 0.90. So Vandy Vape's calculations are just a little bit off. Looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and wick her up. Alrighty, I'm going to be using some of these unicorn hair, they're called. They're 2.5 millimeter shoelace cotton. All you're going to do is just insert one side of your wick here and pull it through like so. Now all you're going to want to do is take your scissors. You're going to want to hold down on the actual wick itself, and you're going to want to take your scissors and stick it right in that channel right there at the very bottom. You see that little ledge right there? You just want to cut your cotton right at the end of that ledge. So just take your scissors, put them in that channel, and snip. Same thing on the other side. Now one thing that I do like to do is just take a little bit of juice so you can form your cotton just a little bit better. Today I'm going to be using some of the Sad Boy Shamrock Cookie. Warning, this contains nicotine. I'm just using a 6 milligram in here for today. Let's go ahead and slap some juice on her so it makes it a little bit easier to put your wicks down into these channels. Alright, now that you got some juice on your wicks themselves, you can go ahead and place them down inside of this channel right here. And you will have to do some trimming, but I will go ahead and show you that in a second. All you're going to want to do is place your wicks down inside of that channel real quick, and there's going to be some overhang until you trim it up. And I'll show you how to trim it up, but you just want to get them inside of that channel first. That way you could see how much you need to trim off of the edge. Now once you got that down on side of there, your top cap's nowhere even going to come close to being able to fit on there. So all you're going to want to do is just take your scissors and just trim up the sides of your leads right here, or your tails. So just take your scissors and go along with the actual RBA section and trim off a section of that cotton. You're going to want to do that on both sides. Take your other side, go along to your actual threads and snip it off. Now once you got some of that cotton trimmed up, you're going to want to go ahead and get it placed nice and neatly down inside of that channel now. Make sure that none of your cotton is in your threads, and just like that, looks about perfect. That's what you should end up with for your RBA section. All you got to do then is just go ahead and throw your chamber section back onto the RBA itself. And that is it. Throw it inside of the Pasito and you are good to roll. And we are back, guys, back up on top here with the Smoant Pasito. I got the RBA section sitting inside of here, reading out at a 0.9 ohm, and I got the airflow 3/4 of the way open. 3 LEDs lit up for the power level. I think that's like 18 watts. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and have a vape real quick. So just a really, really good mouth to lung hit for me. Anywhere between that 1/2 to 3/4, I usually run the airflow at, and I get a pretty nice mouth to lung hit off of it. Now you can close it down off even more, but to me, there's just no reason to. I mean, that's really drawing a tight field there, and I just don't feel the need to have that tight of a draw. So I like anywhere between 1/2 and 3/4. If you're somebody that likes like the Nord or some, the Trinity Alpha or the Snow Wolf, something to that nature, you're going to want to run this thing wide open with the mesh coil. Even the RBA section, you might get away with running it wide open and getting more of that Nord feel to it. You just have to build a little bit more lower of an ohm. So it's something that you would have to play around with. I haven't played around with it because I prefer mouth to lung vaping on something like this. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive into my 5 topics for this device. Number 1 topic is going to be the design and aesthetics of this device, and I got to give them a win for the design, because while it looks like the Orion, it is a little bit different. The wattage ranges that they offer are good. I think they're definitely where they need to be. I don't feel like you need to adjust in 0.1 increments on a pod system. I think the 2 to 3 watt jump is right where you need to be. I don't see the need for an LED screen when you have different wattages set up in the board like they do here. So I think they did a good job with that. I think the RBA section is a 100% win. It wicks like crazy. I mean, I just think that the flavor off of it is amazing. And being one of the first rebuildable AIO pod system, whatever you want to call it, I think that they did a really good job with the RBA section. So as far as design, I think that they did a good job. As far as aesthetics, that's where I'm going to kind of beat them up a little bit. Here's the thing, Smoant. You got so many competitors out there coming out with, let's say, 3 to 4 pod systems within a 6-month period. I mean, it's like every month Smoke's coming out with a different pod system. Or, I mean, all your major competitors are coming out with them every 2 months or so. So, I mean, I think that you guys could have done a little bit more resin, more carbon fiber. All your competitors are doing it, then why aren't you throwing it into the hat? I mean, putting stickers on a device, I'm sorry, but that just, I got to give you a negative comment about that. I mean, when you got all these other devices coming out, you know that people are going to try to compete with this now. And if they come out with something with resin on it, people are going to flock to that as long as the RBA section is just as good. So, I mean, I just think that you guys could have took a little bit more time into working on the aesthetics. The design is good, though. And it doesn't look terrible by any means, but they're stickers. I mean, the drip tip's huge. Just little shit. Not going to beat them up too much. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into topic number 2, and that's going to be the battery life on this thing. Now, if you're using the 1.4 ohm coil that comes provided with this thing, it seems like you can go a whole day, maybe in a day and a half with that coil. Now, once you get into the mesh or the RBA section, it seems like it just chunks through that battery life like crazy. And, I guess I can kind of fall back on the design on this. Like the Artery PAL 2 or the Orion, your popular devices, the Orion is tiny compared to this thing as far as height goes and width goes. And it's got a 950 milliamp hour battery inside of it. So, I mean, I just feel like you could have fit a bigger battery in here for the size of this device. I mean, I don't know. I'm not taking it apart. I guess I probably could, and maybe I will. But I just feel like there's some wasted space in there. I feel like you could have put a bigger battery in there. Let's get into topic number 3, and that's going to be the flavor. Now, as far as the coils that come provided, I don't feel much of a difference in flavor. I feel like they're pretty equal. I've used them back to back. Me personally, I like the mouth-to-lung version, but that's just my style of vaping. If you are somebody that likes the Nord, I feel like it's just as good as the Nord as far as flavor. So, I mean, I think it's competitive with all the other pod systems, is what I'm trying to say, as far as your pre-built coils. As far as the RBA section, it's a win, man. I mean, it's better than any other pod system, unless you want to consider the IPv3 Mini a pod system or an all-in-one. I don't even know what to consider that damn thing. That is about the only thing that is a small device like this that is got close flavor, but you can't rebuild on that. You can rebuild on this. So they're in a realm of their own. So the RBA section, it just got so much flavor, man. It's a win for sure. Topic number 4 is going to be the price point of this device. Now, I've seen it all across the board. Anywhere between 25 to 26 bucks, I think, is the lowest I've seen it, to like 42 bucks. So definitely do your shopping for this thing, because they're all over the place. If you want to pick it up on the cheap, I think Element Vape and My V Pro are the lowest I've seen. But, like I said, do your shopping before you go ahead and pick this thing up. Anyways, I don't think it's a bad price for where it's at. I think that all your other devices are around the same price, and you have the option of buying the RBA separate. Yeah, separate. Charge an extra couple bucks and throw the damn thing in, man. I know, I just don't get why these companies do that. I mean, when you used to order like the TF8 or the TF6 or whatever the hell they were back in the day, I think TF8 was the last one that had an RBA section. It had 2 coils and an RBA section right in the box. Why did we go away from stuff like that? Give people options. Charge an extra $5-10. Give people options. And I know that you're one of the only companies that has a rebuildable section for an all-in-one, and I'm beating you up on it, but just include it. Charge an extra couple bucks. That's just my 2 cents. And my last topic is going to be, who's this device for? And that's a question for you to ask yourself, really. But I think it's for anybody, really. You know, if you're looking for a new pod system or AIO system that takes pre-built coils, it's not a bad one at all. If you like a restricted mouth-to-lung hit, I feel like this thing is really, really good. You can close that airflow off to be really, really restricted, tighter than 99% of your other pod systems or AIO systems out there right now. So I think if you are a mouth-to-lung vapor, this thing really, really shines. But even if you are a direct-to-lung vapor, it still is competitive with all the other ones out there. And the fact that they offer the RBA section is just a huge win. If you're new to being new at vaping, RBA section, obviously you've seen in the up close and personal. You could use your own wire, use your own cotton, and it's on the cheap, man. You can just get off so much cheaper by rebuilding your own stuff than buying it off of vape shops or online. So it's up to you guys if you think it's worth it. I think it's definitely worth the money, and I think it's for everybody out there. If you're new to vaping, new to rebuilding, it's really not that hard to build on the RBA section. Watch all your major reviewers. I'm not a major reviewer, and there's going to be a ton of videos on how to rebuild this RBA section. So just watch it, pay close attention to the way that they're building, and try to replicate it. It's really not that hard, guys. So anyways, that is about all I got for you today. It was a Smoant Pasito. Let's go ahead and have a vape and get the hell on out of here.